Thanks for watching. This video is about how to park your scooter. Now, the more I thought about it, the more complicated it got, but really, essentially, it's quite simple. The key is just having the skills, that's number one, but then thinking it through. So I'm actually going to break these videos up into two parts. So the first part are the essential skills of parking, and then part two of this video, I'll actually apply it in real life scenarios. So I'll cruise around the streets and point out a couple of ways, things that you should do, and there's plenty of examples around my neighborhood of things you shouldn't do. Anyway, essential skills for parking. This is the part one in a two-part series. So the first thing you need to get used to is your kickstand. Now the kickstand, it sounds easy enough, but I've actually experienced as a beginner, experienced some problems with the kickstands when I haven't put it down properly. So I haven't pushed it all the way back, or I've moved my bike and it's kind of come off, so it wasn't actually in its correct position because I just moved it a little bit. So it is very important that your kickstand is actually fully locked at the back and that your bike is resting in that position. So there's your kickstand. So make sure it is all the way forward and not just somewhere like that. And if you're in a bit of a rush, that might happen. So make sure it's all the way forward. And then when your bike is resting on it, you then don't move it off that part. So you actually do that when you're sitting. So you want to get it right the first time. So put your bike into the position where you want to park, kill the engine, put the kickstand out, and then rest it on that stand and make sure it is actually secure on that stand. The next thing about making it secure are your wheels. So if you turn your wheels to the hard left, which is the same side where the kickstand is, you can see now that the weight of the bike is to the left and secure on that stand, and you've got now 3 points of contact. You've got your rear wheel, your front wheel, and you've got your kickstand. Next thing is about your steering. Now, there's two ways you can that is in the lock position. So right there, I've got the bike in the lock position, and it's safe and secure. You can even see when I'm kind of wobbling. Just say somebody bumps my bike, it's still nice and secure and safe. So locking the wheel is the textbook way of parking your bike. However, if you live in a busy country where there's motorcycles everywhere, and when you park your motorcycle, it's not like you're the only one there. There's loads and loads around. Now, if there's lots and lots of other bikes, sometimes you don't want to lock the front wheel because it might need to be moved by somebody. So just say you're at the shop, you go into the shop, somebody else is parked nearby, and somehow when you parked it, you thought it was in a good position, but there's a few things people have parked around and your bike needs to get moved. Now, if you have that front steering in the unlock position, but you've still got your key, other people can actually move it. So somebody might want to move your bike out of the road so they can get out easily without knocking your bike. So that's actually quite considerate. You don't want people kind of pushing your bike or trying to push it with the wheels locked as well, if it is in a spot that's not suitable. Or just imagine also another scenario, there's an ambulance who needs to come in, or a fire truck. Whatever it might be, someone might need to move your bike, and it's easier to move it when you're not around if your front wheel is not, your front wheel and your front steering is not locked. And I'll just show you that now. With my key, it's actually got lock written there, and then unlock. I can actually take my key and go shopping or whatever, and now this steering is unlocked. So somebody might need to move my bike for me to get it out of the way in case of an emergency, and they can do that. Next thing is your helmet. Really important. This is not the best place to put your helmet, because if that helmet falls off from here, and it easily does, somebody could knock that and it then falls on the ground and falls on the concrete, you've now got a crack in your helmet. It needs to be replaced, or it might scratch the visor. So this is not the best spot, unless you're just popping in it for a packet of cigarettes or something, or a can of Coke, and you know you're only going to be there for a minute, and then you can come back and get it. This is not the best, and it's also not the best for your mirrors as well, because you've knocked your mirror out of position. The best place for this is, bikes actually have a designated helmet area. Now, I've noticed a few scooters actually, you can put it under the seat. There's a big enough space to actually put your helmet, so that's pretty good. unless you've got your shopping in there. But then usually there are other clips nearby, and I'll just show you where they are. To unlock the seat, I actually just push this in. Oh no, I don't. That's the glove. What do I do? Oh, I push that one. I push that one, and that opens up my seat here. And you'll notice at the front of the seat there are kind of little hooks. There's ones either side. Now on your helmet there should be a buckle of some sort. A buckle like this. And that is designed perfectly to go there. So that helmet is now in a secure position. And then when I put this seat back down, it's locked and no one can actually steal my helmet. It's actually in a pretty good, neat little spot there. So that's where the helmet, that's what the bike is designed to, where to actually put your helmet. Now keep in mind, if it's raining, close this. You don't want your helmet full of rainwater, because that's not a nice feeling. So that's actually a nice, neat, tucked in position. That's actually good for your helmet, and it's also good for your bike and your parking. So this is how you should be parking your motor scooter. Now there are some occasions where you might want to put it on its center stand. Now those occasions might be, you know what, I'm going to park it there for about a month. I don't want anyone knocking, because the center stand is actually the most secure one, and it keeps your bike nicely evenly balanced, and it's got a good foundation, and it keeps your wheel off, one of your wheels, the rear wheel, off the ground, and it's on a metal stand. So you can imagine that's not rolling. So you've still got your 3 points of contact, but it's a stronger and safer way to park. So I'll just demonstrate how to do that. So here's your kickstand, and way back here, this is the center stand. Now, if you ever learnt physics at school, the concept is that with the least amount of effort, by using like the fulcrum kind of effect, you should be able to put it up on its stand, no matter how big and strong you are or small and weak you are. Best thing to do would be get your bike in the right position on its kickstand to start with. Once you've got it in the kickstand, I think this is easier when your steering is not locked. It's in the unlocked position, like this. The reason is, if it's in the lock position, when you try to roll it back on the stand, it's actually going at an angle. So when the handlebars are actually straight, it rolls back straight. Now this here, if you actually stand on this, it should actually, because of a lever system, it'll just pop back up on its back wheel. So I'll just show you that. So first of all, get it upright and stand. Oops. So I'm standing here. It's not actually the best position. I was standing here for the video. But if you just put your foot on that, that should be enough power to actually just push the bike up. And all your hands are actually doing is just keeping it nice and balanced. So, in reality, this is what it looks like. Hand on the bar at the back here. One hand on your hand grip. And you just stand on that thing and it'll pop up. Now with your bike on its center stand, it's actually really stable. It's much more stable than on your kickstand. So if you want a safety and security and stability, that stand is actually the best one. If you're in a busy area too and there's lots of bikes around, no one can really knock your bike over, but on a kickstand they actually can, because it's leaning on one side. On the other side there is no kickstand, so it can flip over to the other side, but on this, with this center stand, it is actually nice and secure. So now you know the mechanical part of how to actually park your bike, what to do with the key, what to do with the handlebars, what to do with the kickstand or the center stand. The next skill is actually pulling up and parking. Now the idea, the concept, the skill that you should practice is we're going to park rear wheel in. Now the main reason we do that, it's for an easy exit. Not only is it an easy exit out, but if it's in a giveaway situation, if you've got your rear wheel at the back toward the curb, it's easy to check the oncoming traffic. They can also see you. So it's so much easier to kind of go with the flow of the traffic compared to if you park in front wheel forward and you've got to walk your bike backwards into oncoming traffic or into dangerous situations. So get familiar with reversing your bike in, parking rear wheel in. Park rear wheel in wherever you can for safety. Not only safety for the exit, but it's also, imagine that you're on an angle, any oncoming traffic can easily see you as well. So you want to be seen, you want to be visible. So the idea is that when you found your park, where you want to park, you drive along, riding along, you stop in a good position, turn the engine off, walk it back, kickstand down, lock your handlebars, away, put your helmet in, and away you go. Now I'm just going to show you how to do that. So a couple of things perhaps you noticed. First of all, I'm riding parallel with the curb. When I identify my parking spot, I then move my front wheel out to like a 45-degree angle from the curb. Now what I'm essentially doing is it's not about your front wheel, but it's more about getting your rear wheel in the correct position. Once you've got that rear wheel in the correct position, you're then on the correct angle and you just walk back in a straight direction. Now I've had a few comments from viewers, which I appreciate too greatly. Thank you very much for all the comments and the likes. There's a couple of people who talk about that they're a bit short for their bike. If you're having trouble walking the bike backwards, then the idea is to turn the engine off, kickstand down, get off the bike, and then walk it back. So you're standing beside your bike when you walk it back, and I'll just demonstrate that now. So if you're walking your bike backwards, keep your left hand near this brake, because if it starts to roll and you want to stop it, you can just quickly grab it. But this is also your steering hand as well. So you can steer that front tire with your handlebars with your left hand and brake whenever you need it. Your right hand, will be on this bar or the seat, somewhere around the seat. Most bikes do have somewhere to kind of hang on to, and you're just walking it backwards. Now it's easy if you kind of face that way as well. So you're not walking backwards. Much easier if you kind of face that way as you walk your bike back into the right position. Now another essential tip is turn the engine off. So think to yourself, why does he always turn the engine off before he starts walking it backwards? This comes from a tip for beginners, because with a beginner, so many things are going on. So many different things you've got to think about. So you're kind of eliminating that problem where you might grab the throttle by accident. So you just turn that engine off. So that's out of the equation. And all you're relying on is things like gravity or the rolling motion of the wheels and your brakes as well. And you can then push it gently and the stress levels are way down. So that's why when we reverse the bike in, we kill the engine. Yeah, so with the bike parked at 45 degrees, you can see if I'm a motorist driving down this road, I can really easily see it, and then I can go around it. So it's about being visible, but also you can picture when you hop on that bike, it's so easy to make eye contact and look down the road, and when the coast is clear, you just then take off. So get familiar with this 45 degree, or possibly even 90 degree, depending on, like sometimes there's actual markings for motorcycles. Most commonly they're on an angle. Rarely, but it does happen, sometimes they're at 90 degrees in my experience, but mostly it's a 45 degree. But if there's no road markings, you do about the 45 degree. Now if there's other cars around, But maybe you can see way down there, there's a few cars parked on that side of the road. I'm about the same width as they are. So here it looks like I'm sticking out. But if I was parked up there amongst the cars, I would blend in quite nicely. But also, if one of those cars wants to reverse, they can see me and they're going to reverse into my bike, which, believe it or not, does happen. So parking in this, it's the width of a car, it's best for vision, and it's the best for the exit out. So if we return to some of the early tutorials that we did, there's a couple of skills that you're utilizing here. So when you're coming up to your park, you're going to be doing that slow ride. So you're going to have your rear brake on. So you've already got that skill. So your rear brake's on, you're just cruising in, and then you're gently turning into the right spot, turning that engine off, and then walking it back. So hopefully that'll help you park, get used to parking. So this is just kind of the essential skills of parking. Part 2, I'm actually going to apply this skill. So as a beginner, get used to that first. Once you've got used to that skill, watch part 2 of this video, and I'll show you how to apply it in a lot of different scenarios. I live in a country right now where there's lots and lots of bikes around. So there's plenty of examples of things to do and not to do. So I'm going to show you some of those in the next video. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful.